Great. Well, Jerry, it is 7:02, and
Okay.
want to welcome everybody. And Jerry Rampelt is the president of the board of directors for Columbus Outdoor Pursuits. So, thanks for kicking us off, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. I just wonder, is anyone here been a 1989 GOBA rider? That would be year one. We have my screen. I see John. We have another one down here, Rick and Myra. Yes. Very good. My first year was 1991, which was southeastern Ohio, and there were no flat roads. You were going up or you were going down. In 1992, on June 20th, my wife and I were married, and we began with part of our blended family the following day, and we honeymooned on GOBA with our kids about 6 inches from us on their tent and our tent. I have I'm losing count now. It's 17 or 18 GOBAs. I know some of you here did far more than that. 2015, I volunteered to be one of the photographers. Did that in 16. If some of you remember, Bill Gordon was the GOBA director in 15, 16, I think 14 also, maybe not. But he was on a bike ride with friends the Saturday before GOBA, and he had a massive heart attack and died on his bicycle. Guy was thin as a rail, in phenomenal shape, late 50s, and just a magnetic personality. And Julie Van Winkle, who had been the GOBA director for 17, 18 years, something like that, she had retired, and she was helping Bill Gordon in 15 and 16, and then she took over in 16 for the GOBA week, and she came back to do the 2017 GOBA, and I was on the board. I was treasurer of the board that time, and I was in the office in January of 17, and Julie said to me, "I'm going to retire." I said, "Well, Julie, I expected after GOBA you would retire." And she said, "No, not after GOBA. I'm retiring right now." This is January of 17. And I said, "Julie, you can't do this." She said, "You people, I've been trying to retire for 3 years." And she pointed at her chair in the office and she said, "You'll let me die in this chair," which there was probably a lot of truth to that. And so what I agreed to do is be the interim director. She stayed on as a consultant. She did a lot of stuff at the office. She just didn't want to be on the road anymore. You have 5 towns. You have regular visits with them as you approach GOBA. The board would have liked me to stay on as GOBA director. And I said, nope, that is a monstrous amount of work. So Jeff Pyrone is on. Jeff was the GOBA director in 19 and then the WOBA director in 21. And then we were meeting this past summer and I bought him breakfast. And about 6 minutes into breakfast, he said, "I'm retiring." Jeff had been for many years a reporter and then did the final editing of the Columbus Dispatch. I ran into Jeff at a funeral of all places over the summer, and then we had an interview. The board met him, and he's on board now as both the TOSRV and GOBA director. The last 2 years have been difficult. They've been difficult personally, socially, professionally, all kind of ways you can think of, organizations, businesses, everybody else. And we're all reaching a point of exhaustion on this, and yet some people have it better than others, and some have it much worse. Columbus Outdoor Pursuits is a charity. We're under the Irish code, we're a 501c3. And we run a tight budget. When COVID hit, 2 of our employees volunteered, Jeff Pyrone, one of them, Lisa Darris, the other, to be furloughed. And we are too small to be on the unemployment compensation system. So when they were furloughed, there was no salary. We have struggled through the last 2 years, but we're still alive. We're still making it. And some of you may have seen the letter that I sent in October. It was just very transparent about the situation. And then we sent a fundraising letter out, near the end of the year. And we are astounded. I mean, astounded by what people have done. We've had just over $73,000 in donations. That is a lifeline for us to continue. for our events, we like to have the event pay for that week, but then also pay for preparations for the next year. I mean, Jeff works all full-time employee, full-time. He's the only employee we have now. And so we're seeking more volunteers to do more things. But that was a lifeline. It takes for one employee, for the rent, utilities, and all the other expenses, our liability policy, it takes about $90,000 of overhead to run the office. And so we have to make that up with our events along with pay for the events. So we're going to have GOBA, and I'm going to turn it over to Jeff now as the GOBA director. He's been working with the towns and everything else and give you an update on that.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, so I am the new Jeff, kind of still an old Jeff from being around, but Jerry ran into this Jeff at Charlie Pace's funeral after he had coffee with the other Jeff a few days before. So just so you get your Jeffs straight. But if you see either of us, you're welcome to say, how's your wife, Julie? Because we're both married to Julie's. So trying to keep things along the same path. I've been on board since late summer, and we kind of threw together Tazra this past year, and that was a blast. I've been around outdoor pursuits for 20 some years here in central Ohio. I lived in that state up north and the state next door prior to that, and used to come over regularly for particularly the Columbus Fall Challenge. And I used to lunch with Charlie Pace at the Table of Elders on Thursdays when I was leading another cycling organization. And so I've been around, I get the vibe. My first organized bike ride was a cross-country trip in 1988 with the American Lung Association, 300 people. So, I've been socialized in this world. I've been in this world for 35 years. I love it. This is, I've been around nonprofits for my entire career. So this is a fun kind of end of the road task for me. So it is really nice. Again, thank you to all of you that have responded with support in the past few months. I'm seeing some names that are familiar. I know I went back with Rick and Myra Grove. I'm seeing down there, but I'm seeing old people who I haven't seen forever, like Aaron Cipollini Seipel. We used to, do the kind of racing thing together. So I'm so glad to be here, and this is my crowd, I guess. I've been around GOBA, but never actually did it because I was always doing another event on Father's Day weekend. But I've led charity rides, and over all the years, I get the vibe, and looking forward to serving all of you. So that's what this is about, is serving you guys. Okay, first, we're going to have GOBA. I mean, we are moving forward with that mindset. And yeah, we've had some stupid variants and peaks and all this, we're all tired of this pandemic, but we are a pretty healthy lot. The nature of the event and what we do is out there and gives us the ability to mitigate some of the risks. So we're moving forward as if. I think we're all, aching to do this. We put a statement up on the website. I just want to say this and read it so that we're all sort of on the same page. We're still going to remain vigilant and honor any directives from the state of Ohio and/or the counties and municipalities that we plan to visit. We will not impose at this point any mandates beyond those directed by the state or the counties or the local jurisdictions we're in. If a school board, for instance, has a requirement that we wear a mask in their gym, we'll honor that, okay? But we're not going to put any additional, vaccine mandates or mask mandates on anything right now. We're just going to follow the guidance and the directives of the state and the local jurisdictions. Our priority is for all is the health and safety of everybody our participants and the communities we visit. So we retain the option to cancel or downsize GOBA if the pandemic warrants, but good God, I can't imagine that it would at this point. I mean, turn on the TV and you see stadiums full of people, and we should be able to get out there with good distance and the wide open, wonderful open air environments and do our thing. So that was first. Now, I think we sort of said all along that we intend to use the same towns and routes that we had planned for the 2020 GOBA and that we used for the downsized WOBA last year. And we're kind of close to that. We are going to start in Sydney. We're going to do an extra loop and spend an extra night in Sydney, Sunday night. And then we're going to ride to Wapakoneta so that we're in Wapakoneta on Monday and Tuesday nights. And then we're going to ride down to Troy, and then we'll do 3 nights there. So we are riding, not going to stay in Versailles this year. We want to give these other towns a little bit more of our business, have an impact and an imprint, and give everybody a chance to enjoy what those towns have to offer. So let me also kind of back up and say that we always assume that everybody on these calls or looking at our websites are, die hard, I've ridden GOBA 20 or 30 years. Well, there are a lot of new people potentially here and listening tonight and visiting our site and exploring what GOBA is. So, GOBA is Ohio's premier 7-day tour that explores a new region of Ohio's friendly towns every year. GOBA has provided a safe, family-friendly, perfect introduction to extended bike touring for 33 years. Columbus Outdoor Pursuits saves you the planning time, the logistics headaches, reduces your risk, helps you with liability, and provides a full-service adventure that will create a lifetime of memories for friends and family. So let's not forget why and what we're doing here. And we want this to be attractive and attract new people, new bike tours and the bike curious to GOBA, because it really is the perfect event for that. So I've said where we're going. If we've just updated, turned on a handful of our web pages. So our homepage, goba.com, is live now. We've got about links to 5+ other pages, but there are about 5 important pages there. The homepage will show the map, the little graphic map of where we're going and the loops that go along with what I just shared about 2 nights in Sydney, 2 in Wapakoneta, 3 in Troy. There's an About GOBA page for those that may not know about GOBA and sort of try and share the GOBA vibe. There's a page called Important Dates that's got kind of all the deadlines for registration and when you need to make sure you order your jersey by so that we can get it produced. There's a page called Registration Info that's got all the details about the cost and the basics of what we provide and what camping options we offer. And then there's another page. I have learned to spell the word deferment and deferral quite well in the past handful of months. What's going on with my deferral and deferment? So we're going to walk through the process of how we're going to redeem those deferments in a minute, but we've got a page called Deferment Transfers that will also sort of help people with how they redeem it or transfer their deferrals. Now, I'll come back to registration, but we're still working out some of the details in the communities. It's been, I don't have to tell you, it's been a little challenging to go sit down face to face with them and work some things out, given where we all are with this pandemic. But we're going to stay at the fairgrounds at Sydney like we stayed before. We're unsure about Wapakoneta. We're actually exploring the fairgrounds there as an additional option over the high school. It's a little bit closer to downtown, feels a little more connected. We are, going to entertain or have indoor sleeping at all these places. The Sydney one might be a little bit more of a covered only sort of situation since we're at the fairgrounds. But we'll, let you know. I think we have not charged for that option last year or the year before. So, but allowed people to sleep undercover. And then, we don't know exactly what's happening with, the offerings for the food and the breakfast and what groups are doing what and how much it'll be. We're actually exploring the idea of maybe offering a package of all the breakfasts for a certain amount. It might just make things easier. So stay tuned for that, and we'll update our web pages and put things on social media and send out emails, regularly when we have, more details about these things. The camping add-ons will be the same price and structure as in the past. Let me back up, because the cost, I think we've said, of GOBA itself is going to be $350, and then it goes up on May 1st or 2nd to $400, and then there's a very, very late fee at $450. Again, kids are $95 for the whole time. The camping add-ons will remain the same price and structure, with options for renting a tent or a deluxe setup, and you could rent a chair, you can do the towel service, and we have upwards of 25+% of our people that at least get the towel service for the week. So all those offerings will be there, and the prices will be the same. And then the big news is that registration will open February 1st. Well, I thought about, we thought a little bit earlier, but February 1st, if my recollection is correct, is a Tuesday. So, when we flip the switch, if things go haywire, we're not getting bogged down with phone calls and nasty messages at home as we're trying to ride the bike on the weekend. Now, those are the logistics of the tour itself. I think, again, we'll update with more specifics and tell you about the attractions and all that as we move forward. But there's a nice little blurb down the homepage on the left side with the thing that we're going to the Neil Armstrong Museum, and there's the ability to get down to the Wright brothers or the Dayton thing. So there'll be plenty more featuring of the festivals and the activities and the museums and all those sorts of things as we move forward. Now, registration and the deferral process. Jerry has been blunt. I kind of came in here and inherited this, but again, we've put this statement up, and I want to read it because I think it says, it's blunt with where we are, and kind of describes the process that we're going to move forward with on redeeming the deferrals from 2020. So regular registration for cash paying people will open February 1st. Okay, everybody's got that. The cancellation of the 2020 GOBA at the onset of the COVID pandemic had a significant financial impact on our operation. Outdoor Pursuits had already expended significant resources for staffing, planning, and non-refundable contractual obligations associated with GOBA. We're grateful for all of our participants' patience and flexibility during this truly unprecedented time. I mean, that really came out of nowhere and just, pretty much, was a fiscal cliff was what it was. Now, in order to ensure the continuity of GOBA into the future, Outdoor Pursuits will manage the redeeming of deferred 2020 registrants in blocks of, following a certain criteria. we're all in this together. If we want to have GOBA into the future, we have to make sure that we break even and can move forward with offering GOBA into the future. So in order, these blocks that we're going to do, the first block of people that will be eligible to redeem their deferral will be the people that participated in the 2021 WOBA, who are GOBA deferrals, 2020 deferrals, who paid cash and did WOBA last year. Got that? That's the first group block. Then we're going to place deferrals into blocks based on the participants' original 2020 GOBA registration order. Meaning, if you registered, Thanksgiving week when things opened up, you'll probably get in the next block. If you're one of a lot of people that registered on New Year's Eve before the price went up, you may not get in the next block because there are a lot of people in that time frame who registered there December 31st. All riders holding a deferral registration will be emailed in blocks and provided a coupon code to utilize during the 2022 registration process. So if a 2020 deferred rider chooses not to redeem their deferral within 2 weeks, their deferral will roll over into either 2023 or 2024. So let me, and this is outlined on our important dates page. So here's the deal. February 1st or whatever it is, in the next coming week, we're going to email all the 2020 deferral holders and say, you're in block A, block B, block C, block D. And if you look at that important dates, you will see that every 2 weeks, we're going to open up a block to allow them to redeem their registration. If the folks do not redeem during that time, then their deferral will roll over into the future, and or there might open up again in May for the folks that haven't redeemed their deferral, might be available if there are spots still available. If we have enough people pay money and enough registrations to cover our operating costs, we'll accelerate the schedule for redeeming deferred registrants. Does that make sense? So the better we do from a cash flow perspective, the more we'll open up and honor these deferrals. We want to honor these deferrals soon. If you hold a deferral and would like to register with cash this year, you'd be helping us get beyond the challenge, and we'd continue to roll your deferred registration forward. So I hope that has sort of makes some sense. We will again email everybody at the beginning and say you're in block A, B, C, or D. You'll see the schedule on the important dates where I think the first deferral block will open on February 21st. And then 2 weeks later, the next block will open, and so on and so forth. Again, the more people we have register, newcomers, those that don't hold deferrals, the sooner they register, the better the opportunity that we can accelerate this deferral schedule. We'll honor and stick by the schedule that we've posted. But again, thank you for your patience and flexibility. In a best case scenario, I think we'd like to accelerate that schedule. Now, I really think that's it for the biggies. If you go on the website, you'll see those important dates, all the details about registration. We also offer the opportunity to transfer your deferral registration. If you hold a GOBA 2020 deferral registration, you may transfer it to sell it to a friend or family. And there is a process for that where you'll collect whatever you negotiate with your friend, and then you fill out a form, send it to us, and they will then get a code and register for no charge with us. But obviously from a record keeping standpoint, a communication channel standpoint, and from the need to have, liability insurance standpoint, we need to have them register through our system. They can't just come walking in with, Rocco can't come walking in with Jim's registration on June 18th. Okay, everybody get that? I hope so. Okey doke. Questions, I guess. Jerry, did I hit all the biggies?
Yeah.
Okay, I have not been following chat, so.
There's a question, Jeff, there's a question about the terrain. Is it flat, hilly, or what?
It's basically flat. Now, my perspective might be a little different than some, but Jeff P, help me out here. I mean, good golly, 500 feet per 50 miles. It's not much. There's one or two. The Century Day might have a few extra little lumps and bumps, but nothing terribly hilly.
Yeah, that's correct. It's all pretty moderate. Most hills, we go in and out of some of the river valleys and some climbs, out down, some descents down into the valley and some climbs out, but yeah, really pretty moderate. I think generally about that 500, for a 50-mile ride, typically around, 500 feet.
Yeah.
Some areas as far south we get, it'll be a little hillier, but the areas north.
Thanks, Jeff. I rode a couple of the routes out of Troy last year, and there was one little short, steep hill that caught my breath a little bit, but yeah, it was by and large all flat, so pretty flat. When will the email go out with our block letter? I'd say we'll do it before February 1st. So that way, you can say, I might be at the end of the pack. Maybe I'll just go ahead and pay my money now. But I think we'll commit to by February 1st, we'll get everybody's block letter out.
Jeff, there was another question about, or a comment about the maximum number of people on GOBA. Those of you who've been around, you remember the days we had 3,000, 3,500. And those were the days that you waited in line for anything that you wanted to do, any bodily function, eat, whatever. But about 6 years ago, the state of Ohio instituted health requirements for temporary campgrounds. And we fall under that. We're a temporary campground. And if you remember on past recent GOBAs, we have chalk marks or white paint with squares and all that. And there's this anxiety of moment for the director of GOBA meets that morning at 9 o'clock with the county health director. And we have riders coming in 11 o'clock, early people noon, and we have to have the health certificate signed off by that time. So, and we were not the issue. A lot of places were doing weekend rock concerts and with minimal porta potties, and it was a health hazard. I don't want to go into any gory details about them. Since we've always had more than enough facilities, we don't allow campfires inside the campground. We have quiet hours and all that. We don't allow alcohol in the campground. We have alcohol sometimes in one of the buildings in a roped off area. So it is 1,500 is manageable for the kind of facilities that we have. In 2019, we had 1,100. And that was the last GOBA before the pandemic.
Thank you, Jerry. So I had two people say, consider an invitation to transfer the deferral into a donation to GOBA. We would love and welcome that. That would help out everybody and everything if you're in a position and would like to. God bless you. Send us a note and we'll kind of wipe you off the books, if you will. And then I think there was a second comment about donation. Yes. The route's rolling, lovely, not hilly. Okay, what if the members of your group are in different blocks? Well, if you all register together, odds are, in some cases, I know there are families that register together, and I think we would keep them together. But I guess maybe if you're in that situation, send an email to whatever our email is, office at GOBA, office@goba.com. Let me know. We'll see if we can help you out with that one. We want to help people here, okay? I mean, we're all in this together. So we need to stick by some, a handful of firm rules, but we want to try and work with people. So if you did not register for 2020, God, yes, on February 1st, register, put your money in, you will ride. Anybody that, goes in and registered as a normal rider, you're in until we reach 1,500. Okay. If that's the case, if we have a high class problem with a lot of people registering, we'll try and accelerate this redeemment of deferrals. Pancake flat, 35-mile ride options. Yes. I think every day, and Jeff P could respond with, but I'm pretty sure that almost every day had a sanctioned or an official shorter 35-mile route option. The one day we ride from Wapakoneta to Troy, that most direct distance is about 42 miles, but to make it on nicer roads, it's gonna, push it up into the 50-mile range. So that might be the only day that might be considered challenging by those that aren't used to doing that level of miles. So train up for that. We transfer deferral to donation, register with payment on February 1st. Yes. If you transfer the deferral to a donation, you may register with payment on February 1st. Yes. If you hold a 2020 deferment and you would like to pay with cash now and roll that deferment to 2023 or 2024, God bless you. That will really help us all out. So consider that. I mean, a lot of us in this room are in positions where we can probably do that. And we know we're pretty committed to GOBA and probably coming back unless the unthinkable happens. So yeah, consider helping the team out if you can.
And Jeff, there's one other thing. You don't know about this, but there's some of the people here who understand what RMD is, required minimum distribution. I know what that is. And if you have a deferment, you want to convert that to an RMD, we have a way of doing that, but you'll need to contact me and I'll walk you through that process. My email is jerry.rampelt@outdoor-pursuits.org. jerry.rampelt.
This will be my first GOBA, or the routes. Now, the routes are not published and downloadable yet. But again, we like to distribute those just to registered riders as we get closer to the event. But they will be provided in digital format. Why am I missing the term off the top of my head? But you know what I mean. How far is the ride? The ride from Wapakoneta to Troy is 42 miles at a minimum, but we'll probably try and make it a little bit up to 50 to make it a little bit nicer. Routes are not defined and posted yet. We developed them 2 years ago before the canceled GOBA, and we used some and parts and pieces of them for last year's WOBA, but we still need to get back and make sure we get through them and make sure they're exactly what we want to do. So I always like to mix it up a little bit, and maybe provide a few different things for the folks that did WOBA last year. We registered 4 of us, but only 2 can go this year. 2 would hopefully come in as deferred registrants this year. The other 2 would continue to push their deferment to 2023 or 2024. Hope that makes sense. You don't have to use your deferment this year. Will it be possible to sign up to ride just one day instead of all week? No, we're kind of a one, you can register for the whole thing and come ride 1 or 2 days, but you've got to pay the price for the entire week, and you'd have to figure out we can't shuttle you around. If you can figure out how to handle your own transportation, or get, if you were to come, for instance, and just hang out in Troy, you could ride 3 days of loops from there, or you could come to Sydney and just ride 1 loop there, or up to Wapakoneta and ride a loop day there and have your car. So I hope that sort of answers the question. You got to get a little creative here. When we move into the future, there might be the thought of trying to figure out how to do some long weekend options for GOBA. Did I just say that, Jerry?
Hey, Jeff, would you mention about car campers and RVs and all that?
Yeah. So yeah, the next question is assume that we'll not be WOBA taking our cars to each place. That is correct. We are limited with the availability for parking spaces, and we're going under the traditional GOBA model, where we ride from town to town, and that is the assumption here. We will do, when we stay in a place for both Sydney, Wapakoneta, and Troy, there will be loops out of those days. But the idea is that you won't be coming back and driving your car to the next town. You're going to be riding your bike to the next town and putting luggage on the truck, and we carry your luggage, etc. Now, we will be offering car camping passes and RV passes or permits. If some people, from what I understand, have somebody drive the car, and a spouse or whatever, and meet up with the person at the next town, and then basically you're paying $50 to have a permit to have your car get into each of the camping areas in Wapakoneta, then Troy. Sydney, of course, that's where everybody's hopefully parking and leaving their car, but some will, if they have a parking permit, be able to have somebody drive their car and get into those camping / parking, car parking areas with a $50 car permit. There's an RV permit if you sleep in your vehicle, or have a pop-up pull-along trailer, whatever. I forget the price off the top of my head. I think it might be $100 or something, 150. But there will be an option to register for that, and that's the same situation that when you pull into the parking lot and camping area in Wapakoneta, whether it's at the fairgrounds or the high school, we're going to have somebody there checking and making sure you've got the permit for that vehicle, and that who's ever driving that vehicle is a registered participant as well. We have a fair number of people that are non-riders that register, spouses, etc. And we charge for them because they're coming along and still utilizing the services and falling under our insurance liability umbrella. in getting what amenities we have on GOBA, access to food and discount, and the showers and the bathrooms and all those sorts of things.
Jeff, one thing is we have no hookups. I mean, no electrical, no sewer, no water. So if you bring an RV, you have to be self-contained. And we also have pretty much like the national parks do, there are certain generator hours, but the generator can't run all night.
If the fairgrounds in Wapakoneta, if we work that one out, they do have plug-in sites. So there's that. But I know Sydney has a very nice, porcelain pot, outhouse building and showers, decent showers. So and obviously the high school where we stayed in Wapakoneta before has had nice facilities. I'm not sure off the top of my head about Troy, but so what is an RMD, required minimum distribution of your 401k?
Okay, what an RMD is with your 401k is that when you begin to withdraw that money, the federal government requires that you have to start drawing out a certain percentage each year after a certain age. And when you do that, that's subtracted from your income off the top. So if you take out $300, your tax liability, you don't pay taxes on that $300. The thing is that most people who have paid off their homes and don't have home interests, they've reached the point where the standard deduction, they're not, charitable deduction is not going to meet that. But this RMD, if you're eligible for that, and you got to be an old person to do that, like me, you can get a tax break through a donation that you wouldn't normally get. That's why I gave you my email. Anybody who's thinking about that, get in touch with me and I'll explain to you how we can work it out.
Okay, Jerry, the questions are piling up, so I better move quick. What's
Okay,
the
go ahead.
typical daily distance is 50 miles with a 35-mile cutoff. One day, I forget exactly which day out of Troy, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, we offer a Century option as well. Please partner with Ride with GPS. We're working on that. Under what circumstances will refunds be allowed? There is a policy up on our registration page about that. So go see what that's about. No refunds for the deferrals, 2020 deferrals. Ragbi does day passes. Yeah, they're a little bigger. Required. 2020, we paid $95 for a 15-year-old. Now she's a bloody old teenager. No, you are everything in your GOBA 2020 deferral. If you paid, $295 and $95 for the kid, it just rolls over, irregardless of the fact that it's going to be, $350 now. Okay, so just there'll be no more. Your registration gets you've paid a little extra in the time you've waited to get to do the GOBA. So I hope that answers that. Is 3 cities going to be the norm? I do not know. We look forward to your feedback on that. How will safety be ensured in the shower trucks? Limited number of people in there. The folks that run the shower trucks are out of Washington State. Have been doing these, been pulling these shower trucks around to events I was in shower trucks in 1988. They're safe. There are monitors there. Yes, there are, they're orderly. So I think they're safe. The massage tent, we are hopefully working on that. That's down the road with our planning. Downtown Sydney is super excited to welcome GOBA back. All right. I'm sure you'll enjoy the upgraded showers and bathrooms at the Shelby County Fairgrounds. There's another confirmation of what I said. Shelby Fairgrounds plug-in sites, but not certain of their full capacity. Yeah, we'll let you know all the details about capacity. I'm actually taking a trip over to a couple of the cities next week. Is that it? Sydney sounds great. Yes, they actually hosted a little festival on Saturday night, and we'll be doing so again this year. And then Sunday night, we'll sort of be a little bit self-contained at the fairgrounds and probably bring in some sort of, a barbecue type thing and have our traditional opening ceremony that I've never seen, so I don't know what it looks like, but we'll have fun. Who else? Come on. Have I hit all the
Jeff,
questions?
Jeff, I'd like to add something. For people who are new GOBA riders, I've been a volunteer photographer, among other things. And so I would take people's pictures and have a chat with them. And there was a woman standing by herself, and I walked up and take her picture. And she had an accent. And I said, where are you from? She said, the Netherlands. And I said, why did you come here? And she said, well, I wanted to do a bike ride in the United States. And I did a search and I found this. And she said, all my friends said, you can't go there, do your bike ride. It's so violent. And she says, I can't believe this bike ride. I said, what do you mean? She says, I feel so safe. And I said, what do you mean safe? And she said, everybody's out here. She says, you have the route marked. She said, in the campgrounds, everybody's so nice. She said, I got to go back and tell my friends in Holland that this is very safe. She said they had some kind of idea from TV that it was the Wild West. So it was interesting feedback from a European who came here.
Yeah. Jerry, the safety question was related to social distancing around the shower. So yes, we will implement, I'm sure, some procedures and protocols related to social distancing around, our shower trucks and, if we, indoor dining, things like that. So yes, we will do what we can. Our volunteers, for instance, on Tazrev, we, basically our riders did not touch any of the food at the rest stops. Wild West is Ragbra, yes. Tazrev, our participants did not touch any food or put their hands anywhere to grab anything. We had servers wearing gloves with masks and tongs filling, the little plate container. What would you like? Here's a piece of fried chicken. Oh, you want that kind of energy bar? Here you go. So yes, we will follow and do some of those protocols to be as safe as possible from a COVID standpoint. I hope that answered that question. Yes, the event begins and ends in Sydney. The indoor opportunity in Troy, I'm going there next week. Whatever we did, I think during WOBA, Jeff P might be able to answer that. But again, there was something established for the 2020 ride. And then I don't know if they used the same plant facility for WOBA. But let me tell you this, Troy is the rock star of planning towns here. And forgive me if anybody from Sydney or Wapakoneta is on, but Troy is, they're pretty sharp and pretty engaged, and they've hosted GOBA a lot of times. And I went over a couple of months ago, and they said we're having a little first meeting, and it was 14 people in the room, and it was like, wow. So they'll get it straightened out, and I'll let you know next week exactly what that is. Luggage trucks, yes.
If I could jump in for a second, I'm sorry, I missed my internet connection drop, so I missed some of that. But what was said, but on the indoor sleeping, there was originally for 2020, there was a senior center in Troy that was going to have the indoor sleeping. In 2021 for WOBA, because of the pandemic, we had no indoor sleeping anywhere. And so hopefully we'll be able to get back to that in 2022. It's going to be probably a challenge because, depending on how the pandemic's going, people may have to be spread out more, and just some other, issues with indoor sleeping. But again, that'll, as Jeff says, that sounds like that's going to have a lot to do with whatever the local and state requirements are on that. And so hopefully GOBA will be able to offer that without having to jump through too many safety hoops to do it. And actually, and it's generally not GOBA that provides the indoor sleeping, but like a community group that does it as a fundraiser and sees an opportunity, to make really pretty good money, for the groups in hosting indoor sleeping, same as the folks that move luggage and other things in the camp. So, yeah, I just wanted to toss that in. So back to the other Jeff.
I think luggage Troy is the only reason my high school seminar are willing to join the family for GOBA 2022. Good. They know the legacy of Troy, know that you can go forward with confidence. Brag, I feel completely normal. Thank you. Are we driving this year? No. To be hard, we're not driving. We're riding bikes. This is about riding bikes, getting from here to there on a bicycle, seeing the countryside, visiting all these towns. We're in Florida and travel up every year, go GOBA. So, this is, I hope, I hope you've caught a glimpse of my energy and passion. I'm usually a pretty laid back guy, but I get pretty wound up and excited to organize events and serve people with things like this. So I'm excited, always all ears. And again, it's exciting that this group is, just such a nice family. I hope there's some good competition for the song contest. Mostly flat. Yes, recumbent riders are there. E-bicycles are welcome. Somebody has asked that. We're gonna, it's a new and growing trend. I remember, 15 years ago when they were first hitting the market in the US, I was with groups talking about how is this going to affect the public policy? Is that a bicycle or is it a motorized vehicle? What is it? But it's becoming the norm, these electric assist bikes. We will have a charging station for them, and we're only going to see more and more of these. And these things allow people who are having age issues, health issues, cancer survivors can get on an e-bike and do something that they wouldn't be able to, they can ride 50 miles instead of, just 20 or 25 under their own power. So yes, Sydney to Wapak is Sydney to Wapakoneta to Troy to Sydney. No, there's not a fourth town in there. Sydney on Saturday night, launch on Sunday, ride a loop, probably to the west, hopefully for lunch in a town to the west. Then on Monday, you wake up and ride to Wapakoneta. Monday night in Wapakoneta. Tuesday, you'll do a loop. That'll be the day that you'll want to, that they'll really be eager to welcome riders to like the Neil Armstrong Museum and the downtown activities. And then Wednesday morning, if I got that right, Wednesday morning, you'll ride to Troy. And then Thursday, Friday, loops out of Troy, one of them being a Century, and then Saturday back up to Sydney. All right. What other questions? Okay. The email, you send an email to, God, now I don't even know what it is, Jeff. GOBA at office@goba.com, office@outdoor-pursuits.com, Jeff.Stevens with a PH at outdoorpursuits.com. They flood my email box. And there's some phone numbers on there too. You know, I'm trying to answer any questions, help you out as best we can. I like to be accessible. Let's see, what else? Date for jersey unveiling. Well, we're going to use the graphic, the fly right, leap boldly with the spaceman and the biplane and the little bicyclist. That will be the primary graphic for the jersey and t-shirt, probably with the map on the back. I understand is kind of what we've done before. So it's probably not going to be anything massively surprising. But we've got to get it to the designer, and she's got a few other things on her plate at this point, but should be soon, because we do have to include that in the registration when we open it on February 1st. The deadline for ordering jerseys will be a week sooner than the deadline for the end of total registration. My recollection is May 13th. And that gives us 5 weeks of production time to actually produce the jerseys. They take a little bit of time. Canadians are coming. Oh, dear God. Thanks. Overview of a typical day. Meals, luggage transfer, meals, riding. Well, you wake up, you might halfway take down your tent, do your business. We will be offering a local community group of some sort will offer a breakfast pretty much on site every morning. Sometimes there's a coffee vendor there. You can pay your, $7 or whatever it is to get a meal, pancakes and sausage or whatever it might be, a breakfast burrito. I don't know the details. But then you'd come back and you throw the final stuff in your bag and carry the bag to the luggage truck and get on your bike and go. We will have identified towns for stops, with one being offering things for lunch, expecting us, food trucks, and or again church group type situations for a lunch you can buy. And we'll try and identify sites along the way. And then when you get to the next host town, or back to the host town, if you're doing a loop where you haven't taken down your tent, you might go to a local museum. We'll have, some sites and things identified for you. Local townspeople groups will have special events, some entertainment. We'll have, I think there's music most every night, Jerry. I'm pretty sure. We provide a little bit of resource to the communities, and then they add a little bit more and have somebody playing guitar or accordion or whatever. But and then there's the first night, Sunday night, we do have our own little get together. I hope that helps with a typical day. It's been a while since I've done a tour of this nature.
Yeah, Jeff, I guess I could jump in and add just a little bit about the writing, which I think a lot of people are curious about, especially those who haven't done GOBA before. Essentially, starting on the Sunday, would be June 19th, all the way through the Saturday. There's a ride every day. And some of those days are like mandatory rides because we have to, our bags are going in the luggage truck and headed down the road, and we have to ride our bikes to get to the next place as well. So there's 3 of those on the days, like on Monday when we go from Sydney to Wapakoneta, and then on the Wednesday when we go from Wapakoneta down to Troy, and then on the Saturday where we go from Troy back up to our cars in Sydney. And so those are 3 days that you kind of have to ride. But the other days, there's optional rides. There's just a loop out of each day's camp, the camp that we wake up in that morning, just a out and back loop. And generally those are about 50 miles. And there is, I believe, still 1 day in which there would be a century ride where you have the option to do a second 50 miles. But some of the folks asked about the shortcut too, and I may have missed this when my internet dropped out, but I think the plan was, to continue have on those mandatory days were when the shortcuts were offered, and it looks like that's very much doable on the Friday up from Sydney, or on the Monday from Sydney up to Wapakoneta, because we'd already had one mapped out, for 2020. A little bit more of a challenge getting a shortcut from Wapakoneta to Troy because of the distance. But I think, as Jeff mentioned, it's possible that may be about a 50-mile day for everybody. And then on the Saturday, when we go from Troy back up to Sydney to our cars, traditionally the Saturday has been about a 35-mile day, because people want to get, hit the road, and some of them have come long distances to do GOBA. So, and again, the route that we had mapped out for 2020 is right on that, right at 35 miles. So yeah, I guess in terms of a typical day, as far as the cycling, it's like there's 3 days in which you have to ride, and then there are 4 other days in which you've got the choice of doing that, or just hanging around, if you want to hang around, say, Wapakoneta and go to the Armstrong Museum, or when you're in Troy, if you want to go down to the Air and Space, or not Air and Space, but the Air Force Museum in Dayton. I think there'll be ways to do that. And so there's days when you can take off the bike and not have to ride on those layover days, but the mandatory days, that's when you got to get up and go. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff, for mentioning that any day we do a loop, it's optional. I just see the world a little crooked, and I can't imagine a day without riding my bike. So that's just me. Sorry.
Jeff, want to mention, in Wapakoneta, there is a house in Wapakoneta. You must go into the backyard. I can't even begin to describe this backyard. My wife and I went through it last year on WOBA. It is a garden. It's rock structures. It's somewhat like Alice in Wonderland, walking in there.
That's that sort of Buddhist-y kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
called the Temple of Tolerance.
Bingo.
It is a wonderful stop.
What else? Any other questions? Bottom line is this: website pages are up at this point, critical pages. We'll continue to populate more in the coming days as we learn more details about locale. We're off meeting with host cities next week. February 1st, registration will open. A little bit before February 1st, or by February 1st, we will send all the 2020 deferral holders an email with the block that you'll be in, allowed to redeem your deferral. The first deferral block will open on March 7th. No, excuse me, February 21st. All those dates are on the important dates webpage. So that's it. Again, can't say thanks enough for everybody's patience and flexibility during this really unthinkable pandemic. This is it's been a fascinating challenge for me to walk in, but I can't say thanks enough to Jerry for being a fantastic leadership volunteer, and the rest of the board members, and Jeff Piron has really helped and is really sort of helping serve as my assistant at this point as a volunteer. So thank you. And I know there are many other huge volunteers that are going to come on board, and some that are probably on this call. So again, thank you all for your patience during this time. I am always accessible, happy to answer questions as best I can. If I can't answer it, I'll let you know, or get an answer somewhere down the road. So hopefully, please tell your friends about. I shouldn't have to tell this group. I think these are a bunch of GOBA disciples. So, the more people we attract to this, the sooner we get this deferral thing behind us. So let's not forget that GOBA is a fantastic introduction for people that are bike tour curious. And, we're one of the oldest in the country, and, we may not be a beer guzzling, pork chop eating ragbri, but, we are very well organized, fantastic safety standards, and SAG vehicles and radios, and, full service. We handle all the planning, so all you have to do is ride. So please pass that on, as I'm sure you already do, to people that are curious about bike tours. What else for the good of the group, Jerry?
I'd like to jump in too, but Jerry, go first.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for being on and for the past 2 years exhibiting great flexibility. This is something that, it's been a century since we've had this kind of a pandemic. And so I just thank you so much for everything.
And yeah, I want to express my thanks too, as the former GOBA director, for everybody who's stuck with us and had their patience the past couple of years, and that especially, the towns have just been fantastic, and waiting for us to finally be able to deliver a bike tour with a lot of happy riders coming to town, and of course the riders, you all are just great and so understanding, and also the volunteers who drive the SAG vehicles and do all the things. They're all eager to get back and do what we and they love to do, and that's be on a cycling tour. And I wanted to mention too that my retirement, I turned 65 in a couple months, and so I've worked pretty much every day since I was 16. So I kind of was ready to retire, but and I'd hoped, to see this all the way through, to deliver again in Western Ohio. But when we had the opportunity to hire Jeff as director, I was delighted. I've known Jeff for, I guess, probably 8-10 years, and he is a first-rate guy, and everybody involved, riders, towns, volunteers, you're going to love working with him. And it's always a good feeling when you can step away from a job and, for an organization, an event that you love, and know that, the person that's taking over is going to do better at it than you did. So I love having that feeling. So, and it's been a scramble for Jeff, as it's been for all of us, but yeah, he's going to deliver a great GOBA. And one last thing I'll mention too, and it's kind of a perennial thing, emails. It's very important, communication method for us, and the website and the Facebook page. But check if you're not getting emails from GOBA, check your spam filters. Make sure that you're allowing those that those emails are going through. And if you have a change in email addresses, send that to like GOBA at outdoor-pursuits .org so that we can update our database. And when you get them, they're generally, important news in there. So open them up and see what's going on, particularly with the blocks. And that's all from me. And again, just, thank you all so much for, being loyal. So many of you are loyal GOBA writers. Jerry said, many of you for, dozens and dozens of years. And it's really quite a community we have. And I think we're all just looking forward to getting back to riding bikes again and having one big happy reunion. And thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. I did put the email address goba@outdoor-pursuits.org in the chat box. So again, if you want to contact me directly, that hits my email box along with 4 other email addresses, but get a little overwhelmed, but that's okay. I'll try and get to it. And I think the other thing I did not mention is, the website will be our primary Bible of where we put, information, rules, policies, information, etc. I think from what I have learned about our audience, the social media platform that we are most likely to use and have people see is the Facebook official GOBA page. We also have an Outdoor Pursuits page on Facebook. You'll notice that we created a deferment transfer page on Facebook, but I'm also starting to post things on Instagram for people that use that instead of Facebook, and Twitter. Not that it's really our world so much, more of a newsy sort of site, but do still try and get stuff up there. So we have a presence under Great Ohio, the official Great Ohio Bike Adventure on Facebook. There's an Outdoor Pursuits on Facebook. There's a Tazarov on Facebook. There's a lot of stuff there. But if you find that GOBA one, that's the place where we'll put things first, after the website, after the email that you get in your inbox.
Yeah, I'll add too that if you go to the goba.com website now, you'll find a lot of explanation there, particularly the deferments and the deferment transfers and how that works. It's Jeff did a fantastic job of laying all that out in very very good, comprehensive, both comprehensive and comprehensible as far as explaining how all that works. And it's probably easier to read it there than to try to explain it on a Zoom call. But yeah, Jeff really did a great job of just pulling that together. And I think, once you read through it, it'll make more sense. And then, and I'm sure, he'll be happy to answer any questions that you have afterwards. But yeah, and you'll, go through the process as you start getting those emails about what block you're in and all that. It'll become a little easier to understand too.
Wayne Clark, I am with you. I feel the same way about that platform, about most of those platforms. They're a big distraction in our world. So pay attention to your email.
Thank you, I will.
Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Well, yep. We are, we're actually kind of laying out a whole new marketing and social media campaign or plan that encompasses not just GOBA, but everything that Outdoor Pursuits does. Our 4 major tours, Tazarov, GOBA, Exoba, and the new OTA, temporarily, the Ohio to Erie Trail Adventure, and features our cycling series. We offer 20, how many 13 centuries last year, upwards of 20 rides we're submitting to the OBF ride calendar, if you count GOBA as one and Tazarov as one. So yeah, we're going to try and talk about them all as a whole a little bit more. if there are any social media, digital marketing experts out there, send me a note. I'm an old marketing guy. Happy to have a young, little bit more flexible brain help me out. Awesome things. What else, people?